Good evening to the April 2025 edition of Your Questions Answered. I'm Michael, KB9VBR.
And I'm Joe, KD9CGX, and we are 100% influenza A free.
We are back.
So far.
Hopefully
it's
better
amazing.
than ever.
I just stuck my head up the window or upstairs just a second ago. There's still sunlight out. I don't remember when we started the show, there was sunlight. Maybe September?
It's been a long time.
Oh, man. I so want spring to be here, but if you were in central or northern Wisconsin last weekend, you know what we had. Probably the worst ice storm we've had in 25 years.
We've had a foot and a half of snow in the last 10 days.
So I saw something on the news. Wausau has set a record for the most amount of snow following the first 70-degree day of the year.
Yes.
17.5 inches.
Yep.
That's a rude awakening.
we had that warm spell the middle of March, and it peaked at 70 degrees, and it was beautiful. And then we got dumped on with a foot of snow 2 days later.
Yes, yeah, the snow, we got like a foot, and then we got another 7 inches, and then we had like 4 or 5 inches. Then we got ice.
Then we got the ice storm.
This past Saturday or Sunday morning, I woke up to branches falling on my house. It's like at 5:30 in the morning, and it sets the dogs off, and you're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. Hey, we got people kind of coming in here. Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
Maryland. Maryland is for crabs.
And I'm crabby.
Our buddy Mark, our buddy Kent, Don from the Twin Cities. This side of the radio, good evening. And Scout's back. We haven't seen him for a while. So
we haven't been on in a while.
We haven't been on for a while. Oh, geez, tell me about it. B wants to know who keeps such weather stats. Our local
meteorologist who should be keeping those stats are the people who actually do baseball stats, but suck at them.
Our local meteorologist on the TV he's just crazy. He loves the statistics, the almanac. The almanac must be like his favorite part of the forecast. He just rattles off all of these crazy numbers. And it's like, holy smokes, Mark, you on the spectrum or something?
It's definitely 70 degrees on Monday, November 7th.
Have you seen that YouTube guy? He does the weather report from Nova Scotia, and he just screams the weather.
I was thinking Rain Man, the idea idyllic memory. They could just like see it and remember it.
Oh.
November 5th, 1955, we had a high of 47 degrees and a low of 21 and 2.1 inches of rain,
Typical. This is typical Wisconsin weather. If you don't like it, just wait. It'll change.
Yeah. If you don't like it, wait 20 minutes. It'll change.
So many people dropping in here. And if you got ham radio questions, we might even have the answer this evening. Drop them into the chat. I'd love to hear them. And we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. So.
Yep, I have not prognosticated or given out free advice in 2 months. So here it comes.
We got a good sized crowd today. This is great.
We do. Excellent. And it's after April 1st, so there won't be any shenanigans today.
No, but we will have Hamsexy. I've got some Hamsexy queued up. And,
okay. I'm cautiously optimistic. The last time was a little bit of a letdown. It was like ham okay-ish. It was You know, she was a librarian. She was very
well.
quaint. Yeah.
Well, you gotta kind of, it's you don't know what I'm gonna throw at you, so you gotta kind of think of. Yeah, you know what? I think I was the comic, and you were more of the straight man last time. So,
Well, last time, Michael, we're just gonna leave that be. We'll just leave it there for now. There's children in the room.
All right. So, well, okay. We got the questions are starting to flow in here. Will is asking, what's better, smoked ham or honey baked?
Oh, smoked.
Smoked, like the Virginia ham?
Yeah.
You remember the honey ham store? Those honey baked spiral hams?
Yes.
Oh, those were the best.
Yeah. See, I'm a favor of smoked ham, and then when you throw it in the oven, brown sugar and pineapple.
Oh yeah, that is good stuff.
That's the ticket, because then you get the sweetness and the smokiness, and that's primo. Now, I did a year of work in the smokehouses for a meat producer, so I know a lot about how the smokehouses work, and it's phenomenal. It's amazing.
It's phenomenal.
Every morning, it's like Christmas every morning. The sausage tastes like sausage.
Smoked, yeah, smoked for sure.
Yeah.
Fruit should be separate.
I'm not talking about pizza. Okay. If you want to debate the pineapple on pizza, I could probably support that. I'll eat a Hawaiian, but but if you just put the sliced pineapple on the ham, that's nice.
That is good stuff. That is good. Yep. I should do something like that for Easter, but my son's girlfriend is a vegetarian, so we got to look. I gotta kind of have that vegetarian option too. I suppose she could just eat.
You could also pineapple. Ask her politely but firmly to leave.
She keeps him on an even keel, so there's some things we will put up with.
Even keel is a relative term. Just saying.
Hey, we got some news here. Nasser made a 13-mile call on 2 meters with his FT-70. So
okay, pretty good.
Nice.
Were you use an external antenna by okay, so you weren't like elevated or anything. You were at house level there. Okay.
Must have been must have been on the mobile or something like that, but that's pretty good. Pretty good. Sitting, maybe sitting in I'm guessing on a hill or something like that.
Yeah. It's been a while since you and I did any 2-meter sideband. It was probably 5 or 6 years now.
Should probably
at the hill,
yeah. We should probably do a 2-meter POTA. Go up on rib, but with last weekend's ice storm, it's a lot of the mountain is closed right now, and they can clean the trees up.
That's what I've heard. It's still. I think the last back half is still closed because of damage.
Yeah. Oh, here we got the answer. The other guy was on Stone Mountain. That must be down in Georgia.
Oh, yeah. No, if he's on the Stone Mountain, he's got a pretty far reach.
I've talked to airplanes, small aircraft on 2 meters, with just 5.2 simplex. They were, I was here in central Wisconsin. They were hovering over Oshkosh, 100 miles away. So, it's height definitely makes a difference. So.
Yep, that's the one. Height makes might on VHF and UHF.
Yep, that's for sure. So, okay, I got a couple of we'll grab a couple of questions here, and but the first one is first thing I want to do is I want to say thank you to Smokey there for the super sticker. Really appreciate that, and we'll get a little bit of applause going here. So,
hey.
Thank you so much for your support. Greatly appreciated, and I can't make this to stop. So, all right.
It's a runaway crowd tonight.
It is a runaway. It is a runaway crowd. So thank you, Smokey, so much. We eternally grateful. We got a couple end-fed half-wave questions. I grabbed here first from B. William, and let's see. Just like there are linked end-fed half-wave antennas for all of the bands, would an end-fed random wire antenna cut for 29 feet, 41 feet, 58 foot, or 71 feet be worthwhile? And yes and no. So here's the deal. So end-fed half-wave antennas, they are a resonant half-wave for the fundamental frequency that they're cut for. So a 67-foot end-fed half-wave antenna is going to be resonant on the 40-meter band. If that antenna was cut for, what is it, about 35 feet or so, it's going to be resonant on the 20-meter band, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then these antennas will work on the frequency multiples, the harmonics above that fundamental point. So that 40-meter, 67-foot antenna will work on 20, 15, and 10 meters for a pretty good extent. End-fed random wire antennas, the wire is cut for a non-resonant frequency. So, and in order for the antenna to be functional on a multiple of bands, that number has to be not resonant with any amateur frequency. So the 71-foot length usually is good on the amateur bands 10 through 80 meters. 58 feet is usually, and 41 feet are usually good on 40 through 10 meters. 29 feet, I think 29 feet is the shortest length you can get and still get a non-resonant harmonic for the 40-meter band. Get it to tune on the 40-meter band. So you would basically pick a number that fits your needs. If you're in a tight space, 40, make a 41-footer and go at it. Longer wire gives you more, usually, I don't know what I want to say.
More bandwidth.
More bandwidth. Yeah, more bandwidth, more performance. So think of it that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we use the links in a dipole because we want to have more than one band on a dipole, and it's just easy to change a dipole, especially on a portable dipole. So on a portable end-fed random wire, I guess you're saying that if you're at one place and you can get 71 feet up, great. If you can't get 71, you can get 58 up, so on and so forth. And I think you're making it too complicated.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, you could take a 58-foot random wire out, and even you got a dog leg in it, or you kind of got to put it at an angle. That's still probably better than trying to have 71 feet with links and everything else and being complicated, and the links get stuck, or you got to bring it up and down, so on and so forth. So I think in theory it would work. Practicality, I think it's just probably too much. I've always said in my portable setup, simple is better, right? That's why I just carry like a 66-foot end-fed half wave and the 20-meter vertical, or the 17-foot vertical stick. Really, and that's all I really need, and I can do just about anything I want with those two antennas.
Yeah, I like the random wire antennas, especially if I'm going to be out for an entire weekend. I'll get that 71-footer up, because then I know I'm going to be able to do all of these bands at different points during the weekend. And if one of my goals is to get 10 bands in a park, then that 71-footer helps a lot.
Right. because you can tune it without making any adjustments to the antenna. You can just use a tuner, and that's the thing is that the tuner kind of sort of takes the place of the links for you, right?
That's one way to
yeah,
think about it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So we have that antenna tuner, the Matchbox that
Mm-hmm.
handles a 10-to-1. That's really why you have that there. It's easier to tune that than to take the antenna down, swap the links out, and put it back up.
Yep.
So in theory, this would work. In practice, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah. And as Don says, he runs 40 meters on a 41-foot end-fed random wire with a tuner. Mm-hmm. The 71-foot length is better. It does give you more performance. So
one of those cases where longer is better.
Where longer is better. That is right.
But not too long.
No. And then, we're talking about, since we're kind of talking about end-feds, Russell's asking, what gauge wire should I use for my end-fed half wave? What gauge wire are you most comfortable with? It's I think 18 to 22 gauge is probably a good range.
Yeah, 18 to 22 is great for a portable antenna.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to put it up permanently in the backyard, 14 or 12, I would say, a little heavier. You're not going to see much different on bandwidth. It's structural, really, is where it comes to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think mine is 14 at 132 feet. That's the other thing too. If you put like 12 or even number 10, that's a lot of copper in the air, and it gets very heavy. I used to have a 75-meter dipole made out of copper-clad steel. Great because it never stretched, but it was a hell of a lot of weight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So portable 18 gauge is perfect. 18 gauge is readily available. If it's going to be a permanent thing, 14 or 12.
Look at 14. Absolutely. Yeah. And then finally, Smokies wants to trim his end-fed half-wave, but he's afraid. So many things impact SWR. If I cut it too short, if my radios are off, if the conducting is bad, or help. Excuse me. So one of the things you can try, and this is something that Dave and I have done to a pretty good extent, is at the end of your, at the end of the antenna, if you want to shorten it up a little bit, just try coiling it in just a real tight coil, a foot or two, and see if that makes a difference. And then, tie it up with a rubber band or something like that, put the antenna out, and see if that changes your resonant points on your end-fed half-wave before you start committing to trimming it. So that gives you the opportunity to kind of preview things.
Mm-hmm. You can also fold it back because RF can't do a 180-degree turn, right? So if it comes out and then you have your dog bone and you just kind of wrap it back upon itself, you can do it that way too. And you can leave 3-4 feet that way for making adjustments, especially while you're tuning. But I think you'll find that if you're really having a problem with the your resonant points, especially the upper ones, if you get the lowest one set, but your other ones are a little bit tricky, that's when you want to put an inductor in closer to the ballon.
And that's one way to kind of fix that problem. There's just a little coil form. I don't know if I got one of the antenna, but if you look at the ham radio dude, his antenna, he does that about 6-7 feet from the transformer. He's got a little coil form with about, I don't know, what, about a dozen
7
wraps?
or 8 wraps.
Seven or
11, somewhere around there.
Give or take. And what that does is it electrically shortens the antenna slightly for it doesn't do anything to the fundamental frequency of the 40-meter band, but it tightens things up for those subsequent harmonics, so those resonant points fall within the bands. Because a lot of times what will happen is if you tune this antenna for 40 meters, the 20-meter dip might be okay. The 15-meter dip will be at the top of the band. The 10-meter dip might be out of band. And adding that little bit of inductance about 6 feet or so from the transformer will move those other subsequent dips back down into their spots.
Yeah, especially if you're a CW operator and you need to
Mhm.
have that resonance towards the lower part of the band. You really
Yeah.
want to put that in there, and you can make. I think the ham radio dude sells them on his website.
He sells them. If you've got a 3D printer, you can print
Yeah,
the form.
you can also probably get like a little chunk of PVC pipe, 1 inch
Yeah,
PVC pipe, and drill a couple holes to kind of thread things through, and you can make it yourself. And I'd probably just use like a little hot glue or something to kind of keep the coil in place.
just a little trial and error. About 6 feet, about 6 feet from the end of the antenna. Give it a few wraps. Put it on the air. On the meter, and then just kind of go back and forth. If you don't want to trim your antenna, that's probably the most non-destructive way to get those upper bands into resonance.
Absolutely, yeah.
So okay, I think I saw. Let's see. Yeah, we got some people are saying, yep, yeah, 14 gauge wire, yellow machine wire.
Yeah, MTW, what he's talking about, a machine tool wire. It's got the strands of copper are thinner. It's a lot more flexible, a little more pricier. And you haven't looked at copper prices lately. Holy smokes!
Oh yeah,
the spring sprung is really wow. But yeah, if you can find 14, like 100-foot spool of that, then MTW, that's fine. Insulated is fine as well. You're going to be a little bit longer with the velocity factor, but it ain't going to matter too much.
Not a whole lot. The PVC coated wire has a velocity factor of about 96%. So you just shorten your length by about 4%, and you should be fine. So.
Right. The nice thing about having insulated wire is that if you're on a branch, it shouldn't affect SWR too much.
Not too much, yeah.
If you go uninsulated wire, just bare copper, and then you're on a branch or something, then then it affects it a little bit more. So.
Yep. And another wire statement. Yeah, Andrew says 18 gauge silicone wire. I like the silicone wire for portable antennas because in cold weather it works. It's just so very easy to use. There's one thing I do not like about silicone wire here is that it attracts dust. So if you're in sand or whatnot, it's gonna get kind of that dirty feling.
Yeah.
And also it gets stuck in brush. So it's not, if you get it into branches or brambles or something like that, and you're trying to pull it, it just gets stuck in the, and we got a lot of that pucker brush here in northern Wisconsin. So that's the only thing I don't like about, I don't like about silicone wire, but other than that, it's beautiful to work with, especially in the wintertime when it's cold out.
This, the best for your money is PTFE or Teflon coated wire.
Oh,
but
there we go.
Pricey.
Chameleon
and fed wires antennas come with PTFE wire, like a 15 gauge, but it's pricey. It's not fine. You're gonna have to order it online, and you're gonna pay a premium for it. So, yeah. But on the other hand, it's so slick and smooth; it doesn't get stuck. Even if you kind of get a kick in it, it just kind of comes out of it. And it winds up a lot easier. So,
okay. So, we got a great question that just popped up, and I got to grab this one right away. The Illini Night Hunter, best place in Wisconsin to do POTA and get brats afterwards. Spotted cow on tap is a plus. Okay, so everywhere you go, every bar, every tavern in the state is almost guaranteed to have spotted cow on tap or in bottles. It's written. There's a law. There's a state statute that says you have to serve spotted cow. You
have to have the sign in the bathroom that says employees must wash hands before returning to work.
And when you go to Culver's, you get a little pat of butter.
This is how it works. Okay, it's how you keep your license. But get a brat. Not everyone has a brat. I don't know. I mean, the place I can think of the first place that comes to mind that I know you can go get a brat 24/7, 365 is State Street Brats in Madison.
Oh, there we go.
Right. So if you activate it someplace around the capital town of Madison, and you're Illinois, so that's not too far from you, State Street Brats is probably the best option.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm just looking up. I got to look something up here on my phone because I can't remember the name of it. So we're talking about New Glarus. So consider this: if you want to get a New Glarus on tap and do some great POTA, you got to go to the epicenter of spotted cow, and that's New Glarus, Wisconsin.
Right. It's just like Mecca. It's the Holy Land.
Yep. So here's what they got. Just on the edge of town, New Glarus Woods State Park, a beautiful park that's
it's not like he's done this rove before, guys.
With camping. If you go into town, the Sugar River State Trail is in town itself, and has let me see. Sugar River State Trail's in town, and there's a trailhead right there at the old railroad depot. But it gets better. If you go outside of New Glarus, about 5 or 6 miles to the town of Monticello, you can do. There's a spot you can do 4 parks in the. This is I'm convinced this is the state's only forfer that I have been able to find. So.
And then take 3 of your friends and pass the mic at every contact.
And there's a there's a market there in town that you can get. There's a restaurant and a market you can get. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a bar right in town in Monticello that has great brats and beer and whatnot. But if you go to at the trailhead is. In Monticello is the Sugar River State Trail. I think it's the Badger State Trail, Ice Age State Trail. And then number 4, if you go about a quarter mile south of this trailhead, you're still on all 3 trails, but you're in the Albany Wildlife Area. And there's this Y at the on those state trails where you can forfer. So
wow. How long did it take you to figure that one out?
Well, we were there last winter and we 3-ferred at the trailhead, and then I'm looking on the maps and it says, oh, there's this wildlife area. Oh my God, I just could have went, a quarter mile down the trail and I got a 4th park. Right. So check out the New Glarus. Go to Pimple's Old Town Pub for old fashions. Skip the New Glarus, get the brandy old fashioned sweet because you want that, and then enjoy yourself.
There you go. He has spoken, the POTA Yoda.
If a bar doesn't have fish fry, they have to have a meat raffle.
But you can't have the meat raffle on Fish Fry Friday. It's got to be like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
You don't want to cut into your Friday fish fry business.
All right. Okay, we got a couple. I'm gonna grab a couple questions here in a second. So, we're at that time. We're at that time of the show where I like to take a moment and recognize the important people that make this this channel run. They're the ones that keep the wheels on this crazy bus spinning, and that's all of our patrons. And since we didn't have a live stream last month, I've got 2 months worth of patrons I need to recognize.
Not going anywhere for a while. Grab a Snickers.
No, grab a Snickers. So we're going to start with our supporter level. These are all new supporters that came online in the last, since the beginning of February. Our buddy Flatlander, Greg DeBernardo, Jim, N9PCF, Andrew Rafferty, N6 PDO, Off-Grid Weather, Alan, KA4, LTC, Richard Levergood, Dustin M, Timothy Clark, and Eunice. Thanks for your support. On our friend level, Paul Owen, Jose Loyo, Robert Beauchamp, Bob WB0WIF, Jonathan Hunt, Brian Campbell, and Doug Weitzel. So thank you for our support. And then those on the top that are our producer level, and they're the ones that they get their credits on the end of every video. So if you like that, Larry Taylor, Lyle, Mark Martins, Michael Schapp, Michael Reditsky, W4PHL, Michael KDA, GIG, Mark Clubunde, Kyle Salmon, Tim Himmelman, and Bill Jobs, Brian Liebig, Dave White, Don, WB4UBK, Joel Marhine, John N6SDK, John T. Young, Josh Senefield, Ken Efting, and our newest is Scott Joseph. So thank you to us all. We really, 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 really appreciate that. So I'll give you a little bit of
maple syrup make it sticky or something?
What was that again?
A little maple syrup on the applause button. It's getting sticky.
Yeah, it's I don't know what's going on here. I'm out of whack because I haven't done this for a while. So you can join in and be a part of the group that helps support the mission to educate and inspire the amateur radio community. That's over at patreon.com/KB9VBR antennas. We got lots of bonus content there. Usually, if I do a POTA video, I'll release all of my unedited contacts. You can watch like 90 minutes of me saying CQ POTA, CQ POTA. So,
or an hour of me pounding brass.
We got that on there too from a couple weeks ago.
That was almost a month ago, I think.
Oh, pretty close. That was just after I was recovering.
Yeah. And I didn't get the influenza from you, so you must not have been contagious.
I was not contagious anymore. So Dave didn't get it either, and I sat in the truck with him all day for the Wisconsin QSO party.
That was brave of you, Dave. Real brave.
The things we'll do for contests. So. But,
with his gas, I don't want to be in the car with him for 5 minutes.
And with that, a word from our sponsor. KB9 VBR antennas are simple, effective, and affordable VHF and UHF antennas for amateur radio, MERS, public safety, and GMRS. Made in the USA with quality parts. Get yours online at jpole-antenna.com. Okay. All right, let's get back. We'll grab a couple questions here, and we will get back into it. We got a couple things we're going to talk about yet tonight. So let's see here. I'm going to get back to you in a second, Chuck. So just hold that thought. Somebody was asking about. Let's see. Go up here, Mike. What are your favorite LiFePO 4 chargers for home and car? Thanks. I don't have a charger for the car, but maybe one of these days I should get like a DC to DC converter in order to charge the battery when I'm rolling. Usually it's, I'll bring a sufficiently big enough battery to last my entire activation. For at home, I just have an inexpensive 10 amp smart charger for LiFePO 4 batteries. I don't think it's any particular brand. Usually I pay about, they last for about a couple of years and then they seem to poof. And then I buy a new one, about $40 or so.
Yeah. So there's a brand coming out there. Genius, no-code Genius battery chargers.
Yeah,
If you
Noco. I
see
got
these, they're on Amazon. They're not terribly expensive, and I have the 2 amp hour one, and that's the
okay.
one. So I have a 50 amp hour battery, and I will put that on the night before. Otherwise, for my small ones, I just take out like on day activations. I have a couple of 9 amp hour Bioenos and a 15 amp hour, and I just used a Bioeno
Yep.
charger that came with them. But for the big one, I used the NoCo Genius, and those will do both lead acid and LiPo4.
The new ones will, yeah. And
Yep.
they're not that I like I've got an older Noco charger that's for lead acid batteries, and they are good. Yeah, here's a 10 amp for about $99, 5 amp for $69, a 1 amp. General rule of thumb in picking a charger is that you want one that's what is what's the word? About 20% of, you look at your battery's capacity and pick a charger that's about 20% of that. So and no more than and that is no more than half the charging capability of the capacity of your battery. So the Noco Genius 10 here would be good for a battery up to about 50 amp hours. You can use it on a 100 amp hour battery. It just takes an inordinately long amount of time.
Like I said, I got the Genius 2 on a 50 amp hour battery, and I usually charge it up a day or two before.
Yep. So just so if you got a smaller charger on a bigger battery, you just got to kind of plan your charging. What I usually do is after I'm done with an activation, first thing I do, put the battery on the charger so I don't forget about it and go out of the house with a dead battery.
They say so that LiPo4s do best if they're going to sit. They sit at 75%. That's like supposed to be the best for them.
Yeah.
Not like lead acids where you're supposed to like charge them up all the way before you let them sit.
Yeah. But then again, I'll charge the battery and then I'll take it out next week. So
you're pretty active. My 50 probably only gets used 3 or 4 times a year. So
yeah. In that case, you're going to want if you're going to store them for 3 or more months at a time, then they'll want to be partially discharged. But I don't mess around with solar panels or anything like that in the field to keep my battery topped off, just because it's a hassle. I'll bring a sufficiently sized battery to do the job and then charge it when I get home.
Yeah, I think me and Michael have always, I've said it already once today, simple is better, right? So if you got to spend time setting up a charge controller and solar and everything else, I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot more work. Just double the size of the battery, right?
Yeah.
And I think you'd be better off.
Yeah. And then, typically these cells will take 1C charge with no problem. So you can use a charger that's the same size or capacity of your battery's capacity, and it will charge it. I've charged my 12 amp hour battery with the 10 amp charger, and it goes fast.
It ain't too bad.
Yeah, but 0.5C and downwards, it's just so that you're 50 to 20% of your battery's capacity, pick a charger in sort of that range. So okay. That was a really good question. Let's see, one more. Okay, Mark is asking, he's recently purchased an Elecraft KPA 1500 amp, need to run a dedicated 240 volt 20 amp line approximately 70 feet. Do you recommend 10.3 with ground Romex due to the excessive length?
What is the actual max amp draw of the amp at 240? That's my question.
Okay.
Mark.
I don't know.
So, you know, the KPX 1500. So that's a full legal limit.
I'm guessing that's full legal
You're
limit.
going 70 feet indoors. It depends on what the actual load is. So you can't really have more than like a 3% voltage drop per NEC guidelines. You could just run 10.3 because 10.3 is good to 30. You're kind of close at 70 feet for voltage drop. Yeah, I think you could probably do it that way. The one thing you want to check on that, does the Elecraft require a neutral when you have it wired for 240? See, that's what people that don't always understand is that you don't necessarily need neutral wire. You just could need like 2 hots in some occasions, especially like old ovens and clothes dryers usually have 3 prong. Really depends on how that's wired. But double check how it's wired or what the manufacturer recommends. And yeah, I could see you running 10.3 on that. I could also easily say that, does it really pull 20 amps? No, probably doesn't. You might be okay on the voltage drop on that.
If you were key down on CW or 1500 watt FT8, I suppose you could.
Please don't do that. I mean, the Elecraft amp is pricey as is. If you're going to run FT8 on that at holding limit, just give me that money instead.
Yeah,
because you're going to throw it out, right?
All right. So one of the things Joe and I were talking about before the show is propagation. And this has always been, this cycle 25 is really just been trying to get, wrap my head around this on where we are within the solar cycle. And Chuck brings up this great statement. Man, band conditions were bad today. The space weather has gone crazy.
They were. I spun the dial this afternoon, and it was dead on 20 meters.
Yeah, I was watching the map behind me, and this afternoon, it's got an overlay with the maximum usable frequency. And I think for us in central Wisconsin, the MUF line was sitting at about 18 megahertz. And I have not seen the MUF dip down during the day that low into, down to about the 45th parallel for ages.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was.
So the question is, have we peaked? Has solar cycle 25 jumped the shark?
Has it? And that's what I'm really curious. And I've been trying to figure this out for the last, I think since last month, because I was going to talk about this last month. So let's bring this up. I found this handy dandy. This is from the Space Weather Prediction Center, our buddies over at NOAA and the National Weather Service. This is our tax dollars at work here. So don't think they don't do anything. They do. This is important stuff.
Oh,
so
can of worms.
And what I got here is, so these are the last 3 solar cycles. This is solar cycle 25. This is 24. We all remember that nothing burger. And this is solar cycle 23. I got licensed right here in 1999, and just at the peak of this. And I remember this was pretty good going. And then it was just like 15 years of, oh man, that last cycle.
I got licensed in 2014. And I got licensed at the peak of suck.
Yeah. I remember you had your technician license and you borrowed that little 10-meter radio from me. And
yeah, that little Radio Jack HDX 10.
Yeah. How many days? How many days did you shout into that before you got a contact?
Yeah, and you know who it was. The mouth of the South.
Your one time.
Yeah, that was my one contact with him. I'm not allowed
Your
to have
one.
another contact with him.
Yeah. So
Anyways, yeah. So if you zoom out a little bit and look at, the past 40, 50 years on that
yeah.
chart, it looks like there's like two peaks at every peak, right? If you look between 2000 and 2002, there was a couple big spikes. Between 1989 and 1991, there was a couple spikes. Yeah, so it looks like, we're there. We're at that peak. I think we got a little bit more
Yeah.
time, probably another year at the peak before it starts slowly going down.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not as bad as it was this past time
Mhm.
around, but holy
Yep.
smokes. Yeah.
So there's two things that the space weather people look at when they're talking about where the peak is. Number one is the sunspot numbers, and they'll classify the peak at where the highest, the month with the highest number of sunspots. But in order to do that, they've got this 13-month window. So they'll look here, what's the highest number, and then they'll look 6 months to the present day, and then they'll look 6 months back from that peak, and they'll average things out. They'll smooth it out, and for the mean number. And right now, August, if I can I'll blow this up a little bit more so that we're just looking at our current cycle. August monthly value of the smooth monthly value had 216 with a smooth monthly value of 156.7 sunspots, and right now that's the highest number we've gotten in that 13-month time period.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the 6 months to present day, present to the end of March, and there's nobody that's gone above that number. So we might be reasonably assured that our peak might have been in August of 2024. But we could this summer, we don't know this, but we could this summer, say like come this July or August, have another big surge again. And if we get another peak month that goes above 216, and then they extend that 6 month forward, 6 month look back, and if the smooth average increases, then maybe that peak will be in this summer sometime. So and that happened actually on the last cycle 25. You see, we've got the double peak where they had in October.
I wouldn't call it a double peak.
In October we had see if I can find the peak here. Yeah, 92, or is that December? I thought, where's the big number? So 95 in January, but then again we had 110 in February of 2014, almost 2 years later, and that could happen again. So we're just going to have to. We won't know that we in real time. We're not going to be able to say we're at the peak right now. We're only going to be able to say the peak was 6 months ago by the way in which they calculate where the peak is going to be. So consider that. Now, one more thing to think about. And I find this really interesting, but there's another thing about solar weather is that when the sun, there's at the peak or at the peak or a certain time point within the solar cycle, the sun will flip its magnetic poles from north to south, south to north, and it does that every 11 years. And the 22-year cycle of flipping from north to south to north, the back up to north to south again is called the Hale cycle. And we have not experienced that magnetic shift or pole shift yet in cycle 25. So we could be moving forward, yet we might be, it might still be a little bit of time yet before we're peaking. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, fingers crossed. So I'd like to have another summer of being able to. Something just went off my back. Oh, I just caught I got a mouse in my trap. Oh, he's dead.
he's dead.
Oh, I just screwed up this segment for the replay.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so it's springtime and the mice are waking up. I caught one last week, and now I just caught another one.
I got another one.
What the hell is that?
Well, the kind of cool thing is that we're gonna, the ride back down is going to be a few years, and even though we're at the peak, so we're at its most turbulent right now. So we're going to get a lot of, it's one of those careful what you wish for kind of things. We got great, and when the sun is relatively, when the ionosphere is relatively quiet, we get some really great propagation. But then when the sun starts just throwing those flares at us, then everything just gets, it turns into total garbage.
Yeah,
so and that's. Yeah, and it becomes more and more frequent because we're at the peak number of sunspots in the solar cycle. As we start trending back down again, I think we'll get the sunspot numbers won't be as high, but we'll still have a relatively high solar flux index for at least another 2 years. So consider, 10-meter activity might not be as prevalent 2 years from now as it is today. 15 meters should still be pretty reliable, come for the next 2 years. But then, by 2028 through the end here, we're going to be back into that bread and butter 20-40 meter kind of parks on the air activations for the next
20 meters is already a mess on Sunday afternoons.
Oh, yeah. So even though it's going to take a few years, to ride that train back down, but so enjoy it while you can. But that's part of the reason why we're so turbulent right now is we're at the pinnacle, or we're at the we're at the crest or just past the crest of the solar cycle. So it's going to be like that probably coming this summer. If you remember what was things like last summer? The bands were very noisy.
Yeah.
They were very 15 meters was good, but it was also highly invariable. And then 10 meters, it was almost unusable, just because of the solar activity. The 10-meter band should have been open, but it just wasn't. You just weren't getting that level of activity during the summer months. I'm talking June, July, and August. By September, October, November, solar activity kind of quieted back down again, and things were a lot propagation and band conditions were a lot better. But yeah, expect another rough ride like that this summer. Is what I'm saying.
Fingers crossed.
Makes it fun. Oh, no, this guy's laugh is obnoxious. So,
which guy are you talking about there, buddy?
Which one? Oh, the propagation god smiled on me yesterday. So, Pitcairn on 12 meters. Nice. Wow. That is really nice.
That's pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I like that. So, the nice thing, though, is that, when we go down to the bottom of the solar cycle, we're going to get a lot more low band activity. The low bands become usable again. So,
40 and 80 in the summer, you can start using them a little bit more.
Yeah. So it's not totally. It's not a total loss. 20 20 meters at the bottom of the cycle. That was good. It was propagation was decent for I know you're over on the coast, so you got a better chance of the DX. But in the middle of the country here, we got 20 meters at the bottom of the solar cycle. 20 meters was it was quiet, but it was reliable. So that was the nice thing about at the bottom of the cycle. The 20-meter band was nice in that regards. But you do miss 15. So I like the 15-meter band. I've been playing on that a lot this last few months.
Most of your activations have been including 15 meters in the past couple months, I've noticed. So
it's because it's just a zoo on 20, and
it's terrible. You can't find a spot. It's like field day on 20 every Saturday and Sunday.
Isn't it?
And it's all parks on the air. It really is. So I think in the past couple times I've stuck to 17 and 15. I think that's really the place to go right now. Use them while we can. So
we're kind of our own worst enemy, I guess, at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like FT8 4 or 5 years ago. Everyone was on FT8 and you couldn't find a spot anywhere to call. So
yep. Boy, I know last Saturday we were out. There was the CW WPX kind of sideband contest, and it was 20 and 15 were all wall to wall, and then everybody went down to FT8, and that was wall to wall, and it's good. I mean, the activity. It's nice to see that level of activity, but
the activity and people, just the fact that we're using the bands and that there's a lot of people out there. I know 3-4 years ago it was so rough. Man, it sounds like back in the war, we didn't have canned food. But it really was. I mean, the change in a couple of years is just drastic.
Yeah. I know. So got a couple more questions here. We'll kind of segue into something else. Mike is asking, ever made a J-pole for a 33 centimeter band that's 900 megahertz? Is that something that's feasible? I have not. I found that the J-pole style antennas, they scale best between 6 meters and about 470 megahertz. So between 50 and 470 megahertz. You get above into that higher 800, 900 megahertz, and it gets to become a real stubby antenna and a challenge to kind of find that spot for the feed point.
The fittings are too big.
They
for
are
half-inch copper. You could probably make a J-pole out of wire.
Yep.
Probably like a coat hanger almost. But at that small of a scale, half-inch copper is just not going to be feasible on it, I don't think.
I'd make it out of like brazing rod, like brass brazing rod.
Brass brazing rod would be a very good option on that.
Yeah, and then you could solder tap a feed point from there, but out of copper tubing, it's so small, it's unworkable.
Yeah,
so.
I think the other reason why Michael has done is because there's not a lot of demand for 900 megahertz.
I get not Meshtastic, but what was that Bitcoin thing that was happening a couple of years ago?
I'm not sure.
There was these little wireless nodes were doing Bitcoin style mining, and they were connecting on 900 megahertz, and people were asking about making if I could make an antenna for that.
Right.
And I just kind of stayed away from that. So all right. Let's see. We got a few more small ones here. If I wanted to do a 160 meter POTA activation, what antenna would you use?
Oh, as much wire as you can get up in the air. Holy smokes. Yeah, that's a difficult That's a difficult proposition right there for 160 portable. You can do it. Someone was just talking about they had a 34.5 foot whip. I
Mm-hmm.
think if you have that with a proper coil and a tuner, that you might be able to find a spot to tune. I mean,
You
your key is going
could.
to be real high, but I think you could do that. If you have what was the big coil that you demoed last year? That 80
Oh,
meter coil.
the big Kansas coil.
Yeah, if you had the big Kansas coil and someone had a 34.5 inch whip, I mean,
34
give it a
foot whip.
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that might do it.
right. I'd have to
Lots
see
of
numbers on it, but
ground. Just
Mhm.
a big ground network. I think you're gonna because your ground losses are going to be horrendous. Remember at Winter Field Day, Dave? He modded his end-fed half wave,
He
his 40
did.
meter end-fed half wave. He disconnected the transformer,
Uh-huh.
and with a tuner, he was able to get it to operate bonded to the truck as sort of like an eighth wave antenna.
How long was his
on,
antenna? I forgot.
yeah, and he got about a dozen CW
Mhm.
contacts on 160 meters with it.
Right. Yeah, it's possible. It's going to take a lot of work and trial and error.
Yep, yep,
And the other thing too is that 160 is best at nighttime,
yep.
right? So you have to work all day to get it to tune, and then work all night.
And then in the
It's going to
winter,
be a
yeah,
long day.
and then in the summer months, there's just way too much noise on that band, so it's better in the wintertime.
Yeah.
It's a challenging. The only times I've ever worked 160 meters is with Dave with a couple of dummy loads. So,
Mhm.
and we were
Yeah.
sitting next to each
The other
other.
thing too is that
So,
there's not a lot of hunters with 160 capabilities either. So it's definitely going to be a fight.
but maybe that would be something, come, at the bottom of the solar cycle where
Hmm.
160 becomes a viable band. You might
Hmm.
see those opportunities might present themselves. 43 feet of wire with a tuner at the base.
Hmm.
That non-resonant antenna you could do 160 meters with.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, there's certainly possibility on it. So yeah,
yep,
nothing's going to be great, but trial and error, I think, is the best way
yep,
to do it. See what you can find out.
yep, exactly, exactly. So, computer techs going to get HFs this summer. What band can I reach you at? Where are you located? I'm in Wisconsin, so it's if we're on 20 meters, usually I get good coverage of the lower Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, into all of Foreland and the East Coast, depending on conditions. How the signal goes to the West Coast. 15 meters, I hit the West Coast all day long, the East Coast all day long. 10 meters, definitely. That's definitely a coastal thing. 40
Hmm.
meters, regional, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri,
Upper Midwest. Yep.
upper
This-
mid, all those Midwest states, all the way far east. So,
right.
okay, Iowa.
Ketchum, believe it or not, the state of Ketchum is on Fridays. Hint, hint.
40 meters.
Hint,
Okay,
hint.
Iowa, 40 meters all day long.
Yeah.
Iowa's, for whatever reason, Iowa is a hard state for me to get. But if I'm on the 40-meter band, try me. And that'll be happening a lot this summer now that we're, I use when we go camping, I like to try to get a 40-meter late shift in.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, the best thing to do there, computer tech, watch the POTA spot page.
mhm.
That's where you'll see them at. You might see me there
or
too once in a while.
or Ham Alert. There's an app called Ham Alert. You
Hmm.
can add my call to it, and then when I'm on. I like to get on. Fridays I'll take a half day, and Friday afternoons I'll go out and hit a park, and
If the boss lets you.
if the boss lets me. So, so all right. So let's see if I can. The Adventures in Blind Videography. Can you please thoroughly describe the layout of the POTA Performer? Oh boy, this is AJ5SJ, can you maybe email me kb9vbr@yahoo.com, and I will write. Can I write, or maybe we can set up a time or something like that, and I can just take this offline to do, to give you a thorough description. Otherwise, I think I would bore everybody here. But yeah, just hit me up at my call sign kb9vbr@yahoo.com, and we'll figure something out. See if I can get it described for you.
You mean we haven't bored everyone already? The most exciting thing was the mouse trap going off behind me.
Oh, yeah.
My friend, you missed it. I think if we look at the replay, you'll probably see it jump because it's right over this shoulder. A couple weeks ago, I saw a couple droppings on the workbench. Like, are they up in my bench? Really? So I've been keeping one up there, and sure enough, I just caught one. So
I had a chip.
Me talking, it got so close.
I had a chipmunk problem in my garage years ago. So I got one of them big rat traps, and I smeared peanut butter on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sitting in the back corner of the garage. And I was rummaging around looking for something. And then all of a sudden I heard snap. And those rat traps got a big force. So in the corner of my eye, I saw the trap do this arc.
With a chipmunk in it.
With a chipmunk in it.
Was it Alvin, Simon, or Theodore?
Might have been Dale. Okay, Parachair is about to get their tech license. Do you think it'd be worth investing in a 10-meter transceiver now, or should I stick to UHF, VHF to start and get my feet wet? Really good question. If you're thinking of, I think we're, being at the peak of the solar cycle, there are some inexpensive 10-meter only transceivers.
Yeah.
That they're kind of fun to play with. They put out a decent amount of.
Radioddity have the 4-band 10, 6, 2, and 440. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Radiodity's got some decent stuff at a decent price.
Yeah.
If you can get your hands on one for, like $100, $150, or the old Radio Shack HTX 10s or 100s.
There you go.
Go have fun. Why not?
Show up they should 20 watts. They show up on eBay. And, it's 10 meters might be a little bit funny, because of the summer propagation might be a little funny, but come this fall and all through the winter, it's going to be hopping again.
Mm-hmm.
So otherwise, if you've got the budget, I would recommend something, an inexpensive HF rig, like maybe Yaesu's FT891, 400 watts on 10 meters. Plus then you got the 6-meter band, and
100 watts on 10 meters.
100 watts on 10 meters.
Yeah. I said 400.
No, I'm sorry. 100. Yeah. A full 100 watts. Yeah. So that's about, $650, $680. I don't know if you got the budget for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the Xiegu G90 will do 10 meters and then give you the rest of the HF bands when you upgrade. So, and that's about $450. So
yeah, you can look for one of the Shack in the boxes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the 160 through 440 radios were pretty popular. The H2 still makes a few of them, but the older ones aren't too terribly bad, like the 857, 897s. I think the ICOM had the 706, the 7000, 7100. You can pick one of those up for $400 or $500. That's 160 through 440.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you're set.
Otherwise, VHF, UHF, a good VHF, UHF, either handheld or a mobile radio, if you want a little bit more range, is not a bad thing to have. And just starting out, it's a great way to connect with others in the amateur radio community. Repeaters aren't what they used to be. so you don't get the traffic like we had 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. But still, it's a good, a nice little, if you've got a local repeater that you can tune into, a handheld will get you started and on the air and talking to people. If you don't know what kind of, if you've got like a scanner or something to listen in on, before you get your license, if you want to see what kind of traffic is happening on the repeaters, that might not be bad either. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, figure out what you want to do and go into it. I mean, what I started off with 10 years ago is definitely not what I do now. So your tastes are going to change, but if you want to do it, go for it. It's a hobby, right?
No, absolutely. And 10 meter, despite what's happening, propagation wise, 10 meters is still going to be an active band for the next 3 years. So
absolutely.
All right. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about before we hit Hamsexy, but and that is excuse me. Let's grab Nasser's question here. We got thank you, Nasser, so much. Want to use the PC for CW software. The software that would work, the one that I know that most people use is what's
FL-Digi.
FL-Digi is the one.
FL-Digi, or you would also be Ham Radio Deluxe, I think.
Yep.
The problem with the software, it's not great. So like even like my radio, my 3000 will decode, but decoding is not exact, especially if someone's using a keyer or a computer on the other end, then you should have pretty good decode on your end. And you can train yourself to copy, but sending with your condition there, I guess sending is probably a little bit easier with a computer than receiving. So I would say FL-Digi, Ham Radio Deluxe. Both of them have interfaces for most common radios today. And if not, then you can also get like a rig blaster and hook with one of those up as well.
Yeah, and I think we're talking. Nasser's got MS, so it's copying code might not be so much of an issue as sending it. Yeah, and I think that's probably where the challenge lies.
Yeah, and sending is going to be better with software than receiving. Absolutely.
Yeah, and FL-Digi, you can set up macros. You could. I don't know if you can. I think you can free type with a keyboard. I haven't tried it, but it does a fairly good job of decoding, copying, decoding the code. But that's something I would definitely check out.
Yeah.
I don't know for assistive devices if the ARRL would be able to help, or
so I was
handy
reading the other
hams.
night. We've talked about Long Island CW Club. One of the goals is teaching CW to the disabled. I would reach out to the Long Island CW Club and talk to them about that.
Yeah,
because they have classes for individuals with disabilities, and they can probably lead you in the right direction to figure out what to do to get you on the air with CW.
Some kind of either some kind of a software hardware combination or a special key or other types of assistive devices that that may work. Yeah, that may work for what you need, but it's definitely something I would consider reaching out to. Yeah, Long Island CW, and they'll direct you in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah.
So hopefully get on the air with that. But there was something.
You said you're going to Long Island. The Long Island CW Club, they're international.
Yeah,
it's almost all online. They do have some functions in Long Island, but it's all online. Their classes are all over Zoom. All their information is on there. If you just reach out to them by email, they'll get you in contact with the right person. You don't have to go visit them. Okay?
No. It's an on. They don't have a physical address.
Right. I think they have a mailing address, but
Yeah.
there's not an office.
Here, I'm going to give you the. I'm going to give you. Okay. I lost my tab. There we go. Here you go. There's the link. Go check them out, and I think they'll be able to steer you in the right direction.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to talk about this quick before we kind of get into Hamsexy, but we got some results from a few different.
Oh, how bad did we do?
Well, let's talk about Winter Field Day first, I guess.
Hey,
so,
did they actually get results this year? That'd be great.
Yeah, we got results. We got results. Yeah, I don't know if they ever published anything last year. So
I don't think they did.
But we've got them. They did put them online. I think it was within the last week or so, not that long ago. So if you participated in Winter Field Day, now's your chance to go and winterfieldday.org/results.php. I'm just going to type in our call sign N9CNF and
hit search. Okay. You scrolled up too far. There you go.
There we go. Oh, there we are. Okay. I got my screen is small. So class 3, we had 3 transmitters, Wisconsin, 650 QSOs, 15 multipliers for a final score of 11,535. So
where does that put us?
Okay, so if we go in the indoor category, and I don't know how many people. I mean, there's 23 pages of 400.
You failed to prepare here, I think.
452 entries. So if I go by final score, 20,
definitely not 40,
40, 60.
Oh, okay, we're top 100.
60,
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, we're about at 65th place.
Well, that ain't terrible.
No, that's. But then, yeah, I wish we could do all the by class.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we can. Yeah, no, it just they're totally randomized. Yeah, we can't. So I can't see for just class 3 stations
right
where we were at, but not so bad. Yeah, the top score was 97,736.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, class 2,500 QSOs. So 19 multipliers. So they did pretty good.
Right.
Last place is how do you get a score of 0 and only 8 multipliers? I don't.
They set up, but they never made a contact.
Never made a contact, probably.
It sounds like that was a drinking team.
Yeah. Or something. So score of 4, one transmitter, 1 QSO, 4 multipliers. Yep. Hey, there we go. It gets you on the board.
Yep. He walked downstairs, turned on the radio, and made a contact, submitted a log.
Yeah, that was the indoor. Outdoor category. So top scorer was 99,066.
Wow, that's pretty good.
SV, so that is W6EK. I think that's
Southern California.
Southern California somewhere. I can't remember. San Joaquin? No.
No,
San Diego.
SJC.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley?
No, that would be like. So I don't know.
Oh, now I gotta look it up.
So we didn't do too bad. So you can go online and check out your winter field day scores. But we also got the scores here for the Minnesota QSO party. Dave and I did this in early February. And let's see, we can find the results. 2025. This was an interesting year because band conditions weren't the best. Quite, things were quite variable, and our score was probably about 20% lower than it was the year before. But we were in the we put ourselves in the multi-operator category. Previous years we would run as a rover, where we would set up, tear down, and move from county to county. This year we decided to go multi-operator, just set up and
you spaked them.
Yeah.
You spaked everyone. I think if you add everyone up, they couldn't beat your score.
So we parked and we operated for 10 hours straight at a park. We were hoping to get 1,000 contacts. We ended up with 798 CW and 152 CW, or sideband is 152 CW for 95 multipliers and a score of 180,000. So we got we got the plaque.
Yeah, you got some hardware there.
But it was tough going because the bands weren't the best, but it was fun. So oh, we got our SV is Sacramento Valley.
Yeah,
so
I just looked up Sacramento Valley. Okay, there we go. SV.
Yeah. Speaking of the Wisconsin or of the winter field day, the spotting was you were using you're not allowed to use assisted devices for spotting, and
right.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. There was a lot of people operating above 100 watts too. I could hear the amplifier clicks. And
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, you're not getting anything for this. Why cheat, right?
Yeah. So if you look behind my shoulder here, that's the plaque from last year. So
so where is the plaque for this year? Is it in the mail yet, or did Dave steal it?
We haven't received it yet, so it'll probably come to Dave's house. So, but yeah, he gave me last year's plaque. So,
well, congratulations.
Second place gets wild rice. So,
rice and roti, or what do you get for second place?
Wild rice, Minnesota wild rice. It's like it's like that scene from Glengarry Glen Ross. The first place for the top seller gets a Cadillac Eldorado. Second place, set of steak knives. Third place, you're fired.
That reminds me of a sled dog race a few years ago that we helped out with. First place was a pallet of dog food. With $500. And they were there for the dog food, not the money.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Illinois Night Hunter. So I hope you head out to New Glarus there and work that for there. So. So I do appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. We got a couple here. See if we can grab these before we go into Hamsexy. Fireman. When logging your POTA activations using Smart Logger, do you log the signal reports the hunters give you or just what you give them? I just log my received reports. So what they give me is what I give them is what I log, and I don't bother with the other half for whatever reason. It's just a speed thing for me. POTA doesn't require signal reports when you submit the logs, so it's for your own reference. If you want to do both sent and received reports, that's fine. But I just do the sent reports because 80% of the time the sent report always mimics, what the received report is.
Right. Yeah. It seems like everyone's either 5.5 or 5.7 in my radio when I'm operating.
Yeah.
Every now and then there's a 5.9, but everyone's 5.7. I just say everyone's 5.7. No one can say that I'm like giving everyone 5.9s, right?
Well, what a lot of times I've been doing is I just say 5.8. Split the difference.
Wow.
I'm not even looking at the meter half the time.
No. You're thinking about bratwurst.
I'm just thinking about New Glarus, spotted cow.
Yep.
I saw this come in earlier. Flatlander's heading to Isle Royale this August and bringing the radio to activate the park. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Is Isle Royale part of Minnesota or Wisconsin?
Michigan.
Michigan. Okay.
It's Michigan.
Okay.
But it's closer to Minnesota, but it's part of Michigan.
So like, yeah. Like Michigan, can't just make up your mind. Really? Come on, guys.
Yeah. Let's see. Fred was asking, this week's video was on that Chameleon F loop, magnetic loop antenna. He's wondering how I like the Chameleon F loop, if it's worth the money.
That's not the first Chameleon F loop we've demoed.
No, we've done a
couple over the years.
Oh yeah, it was about 1 year. You had one that we brought out to the Wisconsin QSO party.
Yeah,
and we played with that.
Yeah, this one's a different design. The tuner's got a low band and a high band switch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I think they're great if you are in like an HOA. Yep. I think they're great if you're a QRP fan. They're not terrible to set up.
No,
tuning is going to require an analyzer.
Yeah,
but they're not hard to set up, and they don't have big footprint.
No, and the nice thing about them is that we talk about HOAs and we talk about apartments and condos, is that they are very resistant to artificial noise.
Mm-hmm.
So you can eliminate because of their they're utilizing some of those magnetic fields as part of the antenna's operation, and also because they've got a real high Q, that sharp bandwidth, you can dial out a lot of noise and adjacent signals, and it makes for
a filter's basically built into it.
Yep, really a quieter antenna. Downside is they got a really high Q, and if you're a hunt and pounce kind of person, you're going to be twiddling that knob like crazy. So
especially on 40 and 80. Yeah.
80 meters. I think the bandwidth is 6 kilohertz. So.
Yeah, it's tight.
So you're pretty well, it's on 15 meters and up, you can get by on half the band with it, but 20 meters, if you deviate more than, I don't know what, 20, 30 kilohertz, then you're going to have to start retuning it again. But Park and Bark, it's perfectly fine. If you're into CW, I think it's a great antenna for that.
Mm-hmm.
Digital modes, it's good for that. You're limited. 10 watts digital, 25 watts sideband on most of them, unless you get the power compensator. So then you can go a little bit higher on them. But are they worth the price? Man, they can cost up to $500, and there's cheaper ones on the market. But they're not. It's by virtue of how they are constructed, they are not cheap antennas, because you got that capacitor, you got that reduction drive, and everything else that makes it work. But
one thing I don't think you mentioned on the video, On the original F loop, they used a pick rail for a mounting. What are you mounting that onto the tripod with?
Okay. There's a quarter inch threaded screw on the bottom.
Okay.
And I think there
So
might be another.
it's more like a camera tripod mount than anything else now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that pick rail that they had on the original ones was a little too much. I think I'm glad that they went to that. So you can use a regular camera tripod to mount that now.
All of my tripods use the same mounting plate, so I just put one of those spare mounting plates on the bottom of the tuning unit, so I can just slap it on one of my photo video tripods. And, so it works. Yeah, it works. It works well. I guess you get 500. Was it worth $500? It's I if that's what you like, it's going to be an investment. But if you're in a limited situation space wise or with setups, you can only work. It's what you need to get on the air, and it'll probably work for you. Yeah. So, okay. T Blabby wants to know what's your go-to Dutch oven dish for POTA? All right. My favorite Dutch oven dish for POTA is Dutch oven pizza. I can make pizza half a dozen different ways in the Dutch oven.
I thought you were going to go with your stews. You make a lot of stews in the Dutch oven.
Yeah, but I like making. Usually when we go camping on Friday nights, we usually throw pizza in the Dutch oven and go with that, and because they're relatively easy to make and don't take like hours of cooking like a stew does. Yeah. Chili. I got a chili recipe that'll knock your socks off. But Dutch oven.
He also makes cobbler in the Dutch oven.
Oh yeah, we do that too. So okay. Andy's asking, what CW key are you using to start with? I got one of the CW Morse keys, and I think Joe, you got one of these too.
Yes. I think in the video I used the cheapo $30 stainless one off of Amazon.
Yeah.
But I got a couple CW Morse, and then at the home station here, I have a Bencher BY1.
Yeah, I got one of those. Yeah, I got one of those too. That one I bought years ago at a Ham Fest and got it for a steal. So, Flatlander's asking about trapped antennas. What do we think about trapped antennas? I think he asked this earlier in the show too. So I wanted to.
Well, the quote "men on film" hated it. The problem with the trapped antenna is that you lose a lot of energy building up the magnetic field in the trap. So if you're running lower power, they just suck all the juice out. So I'm not a big fan. I mean, if you're running full power 100 watts, sure, yeah, they'll work, especially in a reduced space. But I think they're just a little, there's better ways to do things. I mean, crap, you can use that mag loop in a short space too, and probably have similar results.
Nice, traps. The guys that run power like the trapped antennas, because it gets them on multiple bands with not all. You may not have to use a lot of adjustment with the tuner, and they are there again. We're talking about antenna Q. They'll be tighter bandwidth. But a lot of people will tune those traps to the bottom of the band for like CW and be happy with it. So it's I don't know. I should probably build a trap dipole. Maybe I could do that this summer. we could play around with those and talk about traps a little bit.
Yeah, it takes a little tinkering to get the traps right. I know that.
Yeah.
So.
If when you're building them, it does. I mean, you've got that B&W antenna that's got a couple traps in it.
No, the B&W doesn't have a trap.
No, oh no, okay.
No, I don't have anything with traps. The B&W had that big resistor.
The big terminating resistor. Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah. Let's see. Oh, anyone wants to know? Okay, share the link. I'll see if I can find that CW Morse here quick. Let's see. CWMorse.us is the place to go, and they're cheap. They're like $30, $40. They're 3D printed. They're 3D printed, but they're reasonably high quality, good quality for what you pay for them. So
right, yeah, I have a couple. I like them. Yeah, I mean, and they're great for especially for field use, because if something happens to them, you run them over your car while you're only out $30-$40. It ain't a golly, and you're out $500.
Yep,
so.
exactly. So it's yeah, they're good. They're for they're a starter key. Learning, take them out portable. It's you're not breaking the bank with them.
Right.
But they got a decent feel. I like it.
They're American made too, right?
Yeah, they're American made.
That's the nice thing. They're handmade. They're by people out of Texas. So I'd rather give them my money than anyone else. There
you go. So, all right. Well, we're getting to that point.
I think before we go any further, Michael, a moment of silence.
Okay.
A moment of silence. Is he dead? Oh yeah, he's dead. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba.
Oh.
Throw him in the garbage. I keep seeing him over the shoulder, and it's like, I gotta get rid of it. It's terrible. Bye, buddy. Ooh, yeah.
Had a good life. Had a good life. No, he didn't.
Oh. Yeah, further proof that I need to get rid of my cat. Anyways, now that we got that taken care of, let us begin. Play it.
We'll get this down to a lower here so we can talk over it. But a little bit of Hamsexy.
Been a while.
It's been a while. We did one a couple months ago. But it's back again. And,
it's hard to find good Hamsexy sometimes.
It is. So let's see. We're going to pull up the present here. So I found some interesting
here. A 7.3 mouse.
7.3.
He became a silent key on the air. Oh, hey, look, it's a picture of me.
There you go. So we've been doing a little bit of CW, and Joe's a little bit ahead of me. He's gotten the full Parks on the Air activation in.
Got two in.
And I'm just about finishing up BC1. I think there's 1 week that I missed when I was sick, so I wanted to. When I get through that, I'm feeling like I'm getting to that point where we can be proficient-ish enough on the air for to do make a few contacts. So
this picture is of me actually.
This you. It's Dad.
Ladies love a guy who knows how to pound brass. That dip in the music was perfect timing right there. They do love to pound the brass.
They do love it. They do love it. So All right. So
Whoa, that's a lot of iron right there.
this is some heavy iron here. So
Wow.
when I saw that,
Do you have to upgrade your electrical service and run all three of those simultaneously? Holy smokes! There's 4,500 watts of pure unadulterated power.
and they're not even stressed at that power level. So
No. Yeah, that's a big boy amp right there.
Yeah,
big boy amps.
Turn those knobs to 11, and you work all TVs with that one.
Right. You set off a couple of car alarms just a quarter mile away.
Well, heat your whole house with a Henry amp.
Yeah. You can't afford it, but you'll heat your house.
You'll heat your house. So this is the rig I'm plugging that into my Henry amp. Look at that thing.
Wow.
Space Command. We got Space Command going on right here.
I see that. You got the compass there, and telegraph and sear shoot beam.
Telegraph buzz, telegraph
searchlight
click.
Searchlight beam.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's better than a Baofeng's little flashlight.
Anything is better than a Baofeng flashlight.
But it's got two handsets, so we can both use it.
Really? Oh, hey, we don't have to pass the mic at our next
No, we don't. We don't.
We'll have our own mics. Excellent. I think AT&T is still using that for some of their stuff.
Crummy Ovaltine commercial.
Don't forget to drink your Ovaltine.
Oh wait, this is better. Backpack that thing.
I could see the backpack straps on that. Absolutely. I think what it needs is that 100-watt amplifier for the G90. It's actually
there you go.
That would make it true Hamsexy right there.
It would. All right.
You release the magic smoke. Illogical curve.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. Oh my God! How many tubes? I mean, those all look like 866 rectifiers, maybe.
It does look like that. I suppose get some rectifier tubes, because then they're going to glow nice on TV. Right.
I wonder what. So I guess that must be a transformer, at least to get the heaters going. Interesting. And the pleat on those pants. Come on, Spock.
Oh. You're going to see this next weekend at your local ham fest.
No lowballers. I know what I got.
We were talking about smoked versus honey ham, but do you have an actual pork mobile?
That's. I mean, looks like it's got a CB whip coming out of the back.
It's got some coming out of it. Yeah.
And,
this is
white walls out. I mean, that's impressive.
Yep.
It looks like a Cadillac front end on a Ford Ranger. I don't know what's going on there, but it's weird.
Maybe they built a shell over an old meat wagon or something.
Oh my Lord! Yeah, it's a
Cadillac
meat wagon,
hearse.
that's for sure. That's wow.
Now I would drive that.
I can see someone rolling up in a POTA activation of that.
I drive that to the ham fest.
Chop the
they're coming in too.
Oh,
Oh wait, they were smoking more than meat when they built that.
It must be one of the Michigan builds, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Michigan's finest.
Hey, that's our first POTA activation.
I think so.
I don't know why you wore the clown suit, though.
Why not?
Is that a light pole battery with a clock on it, or are you just happy to see me?
It's POTA time.
Oh, my. Wow.
Now, I think this is the first.
I don't know what's going on there, but wow.
I think this is the first picture we've seen of the guy on 28-425.
Oh, I would say these are the 7200 clowns, but
The 7200.
it could be 28-425 too.
Yeah.
I haven't heard him in a long time. 11 meter POTA. I mean, really, that is. I think that's an old Cobra base unit right there.
It could very well be. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's CB-ish.
Yeah. Stanford bomb. Be careful! Be careful to our line. We might get a couple of visits from the FBI to say that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, all right, one more, and then I think we're done.
Now this, I think I might have had this when I was a kid.
I did not have the 150. I think mine was a little smaller than that. But
You have the wood box. Mine was cardboard. But
yeah.
I wish they still made stuff like this.
Yeah. No, it's I know, when I was a kid paging through that Radio Shack catalog, that's the thing that I wanted. So.
Yeah. Now I don't have anything like that. I just have piles of junk.
Yeah.
And
ain't that the case? And a dead mouse. Would everybody else have one of those? I mean, it's
yeah, they were pretty fun.
They were great.
Yeah,
is paging through that book and trying to, and then oh wait a minute, this is Danny's got the 201 in the original box. So
I bet you all those caps started to leak by now.
Start popping them like firecrackers.
Right. Oh wow. That's good. I like that one. That's a little bit better than Hamsexy there. A little too good for this.
A little too good for Hamsexy, absolutely. Yep. But we're kind of scraping the barrel. We need I need some good Hamsexy pictures. So send them care of this channel. If you've got something Hamsexy, we'll share it. We'll share it next month. So
yep. Oh hey, next month is Hamvention, and that's
Hamvention
where all the Hamsexy goes on.
Well, we might our June live stream might have a special Hamvention Hamsexy.
I can't wait.
I'm pretty good at patrolling the flea market and finding the weird stuff. So
yep. No, we'll see it. That's for sure. This will be your third year in a row going, isn't it?
Third year in a row. Yeah. It's,
okay.
No presentations this time, but it's so I'll be able to enjoy myself and
purely a spectator.
Yeah, like the first time. After you do it a couple times, hopefully I know what I'm looking for and find some deals. But we'll talk about Hamvention next month.
Yes,
I'll have the full scoop, and we'll probably next month we'll probably do a update on the ham radio campout because that's coming up in about 6 months.
We're halfway there.
I know. I'm still excited. So we'll talk about that next month too. Tell everybody about the camp out because there's still some space left at the park. So, all right,
we'll fill that up by then.
Chuck wants to know we have to keep Hamsexy PC.
No, because we won't put that on the Patreon channel.
We keep it. We got to keep it PG-13. So at least. Let's see. Chuck's asking FCC restructuring thoughts.
We ain't touching that one with a 10-foot stick.
It's I could go off on this, and I could go off on a lot of things. But what the FCC is talking about is not restructuring. It's not positive. It's destructuring. Whatever happens, I feel in the long term is probably not going to be good for amateur radio. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that we get out of that unscathed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's all I'm going to say. So, all right. This is good news. So Matthew's looking forward to the camper because he's a general. So,
excellent. Well, Matthew, we'll get you on the air. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get you on there. So, Ham Radio Dudes got to meet up on the 12th at Bigfoot Beach, Lake Geneva. Need to get you Wisconsin folks down here. I'll have to. I think April's a busy month for us, and I think I might be doing something on the 12th, or on the 11th. I think it is. I gotta check my calendar. So I don't know if I'm going to make it down there or not. But on the third weekend, what is it, October 24th through the 26th, there's going to be a camp out in Illinois at Channel Lake State Park. So one of the hams down there has set that up. I know in our email group, he kind of sent a message to everybody. So that's coming up this April. That's the same weekend as the Madison Madison Ham Fest. So I'll be at that Ham Fest in Stoughton coming up on the 20.
Oh, there's plenty of Hamsexy there.
There's plenty. Yeah, we'll find some Hamsexy there.
I walked out with a whole tote of radios for free out of that one. Took a whole 5-gallon tote. Here, take them all. Okay. And this is why I don't go to Ham Fest anymore.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, my voice is getting a little dry from all of this talking, and I'm ready.
My eyeballs are floating, so we better.
Your eyeballs are floating, so I think we're gonna call this one. So thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us. Antennas when you go to Stoughton. I'm not gonna get a table, but if you want an antenna, Matt, hit me up on email and we can work something out. So there we go. Next live stream is going to be on Thursday, May 1st, May Day. So May Day, or for you union people, International Workers' Day. So.
No comment.
No comment. All right, everybody. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. It's been great, and you've been a great crew. Glad we could share the last almost 2 hours here this evening. But we're gonna wrap this one up, and we will see you next month. So, I'm Michael, KB9 VBR.
And I'm Joe, KD9 CJX 73.
73. Have a great weekend.